Hey ladies, this is Life Her Podcast. I just want you to know that I would like you to subscribe and share this podcast with your friends and family because someone will relate, and we are here to uplift and inspire women all over because somebody gotta have each other's back, and we all we got. So let's get started, ladies. Listen up. Hey ladies. I am your host, Yvette Lloyd, and I would like to welcome Reverend Dr. A. Louise Bonaparte. How are you?
I'm well. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Yes, I am doing pretty good. Day going smooth.
Thank God.
So, tell us a little bit about yourself. I've done read this bio, and girl, you was a bomb.com. So, give us
Oh, well, thank you.
a nice preview.
Okay. Born in Brooklyn, New York, raised on Long Island, the baby girl, the only girl of 5 children, born and reared in the church. My calling is a preacher. However, my vocation is a physician. I am a surgical oncologist. But before I became a surgeon, I was in the field of nursing for years. Also, I run 7 nonprofits. To add to that, I am a presiding prelate of an international ministry. And last but not least, I run a 90-year-old family enterprise called Jabez Global Enterprises. It was formerly known as HW Holdings. And that was started by my grandmother in 1930 in Brooklyn, New York. She opened her first store, which was a fruit and vegetable store. Now listen, ladies, this is 2020. No one has any excuse not to be a business owner. My grandmother went against every odd you can think of. First of all, she was a female. Then she was a woman of color and a Southerner from Oglethorpe, Georgia. That's a part of Macon County, and migrated to Brooklyn, New York during the Depression and opened a store. Within 10 years, I called her a Jill of all trades because she did hair, she knew how to sew clothing, she was a seamstress, she knew how to cook. So everything the Lord gave her wisdom and knowledge to do, she was an entrepreneur in the 30s, and she just kept opening stores and stores, and she would get her finances because the Lord gave her wisdom. Now, she didn't have a lot of education. She knew how to invest in property. So here you go again, ladies, real estate. So with all that money she had, within 10 years' time, although we know about Madam C.J. Walker, my grandmother was an unsung hero. Her name was Amanda Williams, and she is an unsung hero. Before Oprah was even thought about, my grandmother was a multi-millionaire in Brooklyn, New York. And this was before 1950. So I'm living that legacy out. So I'm juggling just a lot, girl.
Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing. That is like so inspiring. You done like uplifted me all over again. I mean, you don't really hear too many of that lately,
No, you don't.
And it's so good to hear history. A lot of people don't know how important history is because we're so busy focusing on the now. But if people
Absolutely.
tap into the history and see what other Black women has done amazing things in the
That's
world,
right.
it'll motivate you even more to keep going because back then they had little or nothing. So
That's
now
right.
with us having all these tools and resources and everything, we should surpass them just off
Of
top.
course. We don't have any excuse. Even, you know what? Even now, when we're in quarantine during this pandemic, I mean, this is modern times. Everyone has an iPhone. Everyone has a laptop. You should be making money. People are saying, oh, I don't have money. Woe is me. But get off your rusty dusty. Even in the book of Acts, when Paul and Silas were locked in jail, when the angel came, okay, they were praying. Okay, people were praying for them. They had chains on them. But what did the angel say? He says, get up. So you can pray and you have things right in front of you, but you have to take action. So they took the chains off themselves before they were able to move. So how can you move and you still have chains on you?
And you know, a lot of people act like they got chains on them right now.
Of course. And I think what it is, a lot of people operate in fear.
Yes, they do.
And you know what? Fear is not of God. Especially for a believer, that's a slap in God's face. You shouldn't have any kind of fear.
No,
he didn't give you a spirit of fear. No.
Yeah,
but love and a sound mind. Yes.
And that's how I like operate throughout my days. Like even like when storms come, it's like, man, I must got something amazing coming, because God is obviously bringing awareness to my attention. Like, look, this is a test before I give you this.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
And just knowing and being able to maintain that and know how it go constantly, you will be able to conquer everything.
That's right. That's right. And why? See, a lot of people don't know how I juggle. I always say, first of all, I say, stay in your lane. Don't try to imitate. Just do what God has in your heart to do. Do what you can do, because something that I can do, maybe you can do, or it could be vice versa. But in my case, I do a lot, and I know I do a lot. But the thing is, God has mercy on me. That's number one. He has mercy, and He has granted favor, but He has granted me grace to do it. So I juggle this, but it's grace. And it's for people. It's like, not only as a physician, I'm called to help the body and the soul. And even on my website, and my motto is, I'm for the total man. That's my mission. Because a lot of preachers, they're like, okay, let's just save your soul. But do they talk about being an entrepreneur? And you go to a physician, they help you physically, but there are safe physicians as myself. However, you don't see a lot of them. They are just concerned about your body, but they cannot help your soul. So Jesus came that we have life and more abundantly. And that's in everything. He wants us to be healthy, eating right, don't overindulge like a lot of us do. Eat right, eat properly, because I have patients that says, I'm eating carrots, but don't eat 10 pounds of carrots. You're going to gain weight.
Right.
Know what to eat and how to eat it. Health. Your mind should be stable. And especially in times of uncertainty as this, a lot of people are going through anxiety and depression. And let me tell you something. The first thing you do is pray. But you're going to hear this from me. As a clergy person, it is all right to see a therapist, because you do not want to explode. And first of all, if you don't want, I know that's really, you don't talk about that in the Black community, therapy. However, God gave these people wisdom so you can go talk to them and express yourself. Because if your mind is out of whack, you can't do anything. You'll be just totally out of control. You can't think. Then it hurt. Your arms hurting. Everything hurts. It's your mind. Your mind controls everything.
Yes. And it operates on it. It triggers every
It triggers
cell
everything.
and everything like within.
Heart attacks, strokes, and it
Mm-hmm.
brings on issues as well.
Yeah.
So one thing triggers from another. So we covered physical, mental, and your emotions. You have to get your emotions in check, because you're the only one. The old people used to say every tub has to sit on their own bottom. Meaning you have to take care of yourself first. You can't be worried about so many other people and you're not stable. And you cannot let an outside force upset you to the point where you can't accomplish anything. So you have to keep your emotions in check. And if they get out of check yourself and say, I can't just get out of whack because of that. God help me get this together. I got to get myself together.
Mm-hmm. And you have to be willing to. Sometimes,
and you have to be willing.
Yeah, sometimes like we could get to a point where our mind takes full-blown control of us when we know we're doing something wrong, but we decide to neglect God and do the opposite.
That's right. That's right. And the thing is, you have to stay focused on the Lord through supplication, through meditation, through prayer. And you have to read your word daily, not listen to what the preachers say. Pick up your Bible yourself and read your Bible daily. Because daily scripture is important. The word of God, that's just like you have to eat every day. You need to take those scriptures and get that in you.
You preaching. It's the truth.
Everything in my life, I think I cut my own self off. Everything in my life has been based on faith and prayer. And I pray a lot. I fast a lot because I was raised around that. And of course, let me tell you, I strayed away. I'm not Miss Perfect. And I think I rebelled because, they always say PK preachers' kids are terrible. Let me tell you, I was Miss Goody Two Shoes. And then when I got in, I would say 11th grade all the way until I would say my junior year, I was terrible. I mean, I was totally terrible. And I think I rebelled because not only am I a PK, I couldn't run from it. Both sides, 7th generation. I am a 7th generation preacher. My mom was a daddy. My mom was my daddy, my grandmama. Everybody was a preacher, men and women. So I could not run from it. And the thing is, every denomination, they had it covered. My mama's side was Methodist and Baptist. My father's side was Pentecostals. Today, I say I'm non-denomination because the Bible says holy. A lot of people get stuck on denomination. The Bible says that's all it's man-made and it's just created for division.
Yes.
And so the reason why I mentioned that, I think I was just around church all the time. So finally, I just said I need a way to rebel. So I had my little boyfriends, and I was awful. I really was. My mother doesn't like me. Like, stop telling people that. But you know what?
But it's the truth, though.
Because the thing is, nobody's perfect except the Father.
Exactly. And what do you think about how people feel about church today? Like, a lot of people don't feel comfortable going to church because of how a pastor is, or they don't feel comfortable because of the negativity of them not helping them, talking bad about them. What do you feel about the generation today's church?
Well, I don't think it's a lot of respect for God, period, in the world, especially America. There's no reverence for God. And the older saints, they're not setting examples. they gave us a little better example when I was coming along, and we had no choice. You go to church, you're in my house, you will go to church. Nowadays, I think the younger generation, they have more leeway, and they just, I wouldn't say they don't care, but I think they are, you have to show me before I believe it. And I think the generations need to merge, because I think a lot of older saints, they're stuck in their way.
Yes.
And in the younger ones, I think it's not many churches that are able to merge. And I think if all generations get on the same page, I think things will move along a little smoother. And for anybody who is discouraged or has ever been discouraged that's listening, you have to see God for yourself. There is no perfect church. See, another thing is a lot of people put preachers on pedestals. They are not God, so they will make mistakes. You might, hey, it's a scandal. Hey, if you don't want gossip and scandal, don't go to work, don't go to school, because it's gossip and scandal is there. Every church is supposed to be a hospital. You're not supposed to go there and feel worse. That's the unfortunate thing. Right. So I say that the saints should get their act together. Instead of running people away, they need to draw them. And that goes back to what I said about the generations need to work together, because a lot of the older ones, they want to bash the younger girls, but it's a way that you can talk, and they forget they were young themselves.
Yes.
And then the younger ones, and the younger ones should be able to listen and learn. And, they have to learn respect. You learn from history. You learn from your elders. So I think a lot of it is the merging of generations, a whole thing of respect for each other. And number one, respect for God. And don't take things personal, because you cannot church hop. Because it's going to be trouble if it's a storefront church or a mega church. As a matter of fact, I think how my grandmother used to say, the bigger the church, the bigger the devil. Because the bigger the church, it's going to be more. It's going to be more trouble there. You just have to say, look, it's not going to be a perfect church, but I know my God is perfect. You get somewhere where you're comfortable, a Bible-based, believing church. You don't want to go places that's way off the norm. It's just so hard in today's society, because you don't know a worldly person from a saint. No one's saying that you have, a lot of old-fashioned holiness believe women, you don't wear makeup, you don't wear color, you don't wear skirts. But guess what? You can wear a long skirt and still pull your dress up to have sex. Yes. So that doesn't make sense. And some people are just simply too ugly not to wear makeup. And in modern times, you don't need to be going around with a nappy head. Because some people nowadays, I still know some people in Brooklyn, New York, that's holiness, and they don't perm. You don't have to perm your hair, press your hair. But don't go around nappy by a wig.
Wear one of them big hats.
Yeah, you don't have to be so strict, but yet you don't have to be worldly. You don't go to church. Like, if you go to church, you go to church. You're not going to a club. You don't wear your breast out. You don't wear tight jeans. Nowadays, people are wearing pants. But what I say, I'm not, how would I say, I'm mutual with that. But how I look at it, I wear pants. However, I don't wear my pants too much to church, because I look at it that we're going before God. And let me tell you why. When you visit Queen Elizabeth, you have to wear a skirt. So who is she that you wear a skirt before the Queen and you're coming in the presence of God? So I'm just saying, just be a little feminine. But if you do wear pants and you're going to church, wear a business suit. But if you're going to wear jeans, tight jeans. So a lot of that is like, people, there's a lot of issues in that. But at the end of the day, God is looking at your heart.
Yes. Yes. And he don't judge for certain.
And he doesn't judge. That's just
Mm-hmm.
my opinion on the dressing part. But I
Right,
do say
right.
if you're going, dress appropriately. You know,
Yes.
you're not there to find you a man. You want a man or a woman, go to a club. You're there to worship the Lord. And if you're a woman, you do not want to distract the men in church. They're
Yes.
trying to serve the Lord. You don't want to throw their mind off
Yes.
because that's a spirit of Jezebel.
Oh, yes.
And it's so much. I mean, we would have to do this talk again. I mean, there's so much that I want to share with
Oh,
the
yeah,
audience, but
we
I'm just
are.
trying to keep it on a one pace here. But the
I
thing is, like when
know.
I'm talking about one thing, something else comes up.
I already know. So tell me about you traveling to the 7 continents preaching.
Yes. So being global, it's nothing new for my family. My grandparents, especially my grandmother, she planted her first church in France in 1940. So my
Oh,
grandparents already traveled the world and they were planting churches. So I travel the world for business as well as the church. Now, in 1975, my mother, her name is Eloisa Crawley Bonaparte. We call her Queen Mom or Mother Apostle. She started the Temple of the Good Shepherd Ministries worldwide. And it began in 1975, as I said, as an evangelistic outreach ministry. She started out in Brooklyn, and then doors would begin to open for her, and she began to travel the nation and then the world. So after she would evangelize at these different countries, they would ask her to plant a mission or a church. So in 1990, it was Temple Ministries, and then it was added Temple of the Good Shepherd Ministries worldwide because there were branch churches in these different countries. Now, how the ministry is made up, we have certain branch churches, different places, but also what it is a fellowship of churches. For example, it is Dr. Kumar. His name is Shati Kumar. He's a part of our fellowship, and he has 300,000 members.
Ooh.
And he has the biggest church in India, and he's under my leadership because his church is a part of our fellowship. And the fellowship is open to every denomination. We have clergy, we have independent clergy. So I'm constantly traveling the world, evangelizing, planting churches, ordaining ministries. And along with the missions, that's in conjunction with A.L. Bonaparte Ministries. Now, what A.L. Bonaparte Ministries, that's my independent, that's my individual preaching ministry, but also it is in conjunction with my 7 nonprofits. And we have missions such as schools and hospitals and shelters and orphanages. So it's a lot that we're doing, but I just love mankind. This is just nothing new. I basically get this from my mother's mother, Miss Mandy, we called her, and my mother. I'm doing a little more traveling now because my mother is getting older and she's not doing as much traveling as she once did. So all of that falls on me. So I'm doing that traveling for the missions and the churches. And I'm also doing traveling because of the global enterprise, because I have employees on every continent. And as far as Jabez Global Enterprises, what I specialize in doing is I like to invest in companies that are going bankrupt, and I build them back up. And I also own franchise restaurants of fast food chains. And then I also have home health care agencies out on the other coast, on the West Coast, and oils, pharmaceuticals. It's just I'm like my grandmother. I just love. I love learning. I love entrepreneurship, because the thing is, I always like to do things people think you cannot do, and I defy all odds. I defy all odds because I am a female. I'm a brown female, and I'm a Christian. So all this coming, and they think we can't do this. So I'm like, oh, I can do it. I can, because most of the board meetings I'm at is mostly Caucasian men. You know, I was at a board meeting. I have two offices, but my main office is in Manhattan, Penn Plaza. And they didn't know who I was. This is the funniest story. So they came into my office. They just know they were meeting with Miss Bonaparte. They came into my office, and they thought up and down that I was the secretary. And then I fixed their coffee and everything. And then when we get into the boardroom, they say, "Oh, you sitting in for her?" They thought I would guess it was an Italian woman or something. I said, "No, it's me." Man, they cussed and carried on. And I said, "You gonna have this meeting or what?"
No. Let's get this started. I love that. I love it. So how do you find time out for yourself? What do you do for yourself after you so busy? I know you have so many staff lined up, but what do you do on your me time?
Well, I like going to spas. I like spas. I love this theater. It's nothing like live theater. I mean, if you've never been to New York, listeners, once in your life, try to make it to New York and see a live Broadway show. Nothing wrong with Tyler Perry, nothing wrong with the rest of them, but a live Broadway show is nothing like it. I love theater. I love reading. That gives me peace. I can read 7, 8, 9 books. I'm an avid reader. So I can read so many books a day. I just like to read. I'm your ultimate bookworm.
Wow.
You know.
You rub some of that on me.
But the thing is, I'm pretty cool.
Podcasts. I like listening to inspiration. Inspirational podcasts and soothing music, yoga, things of that nature. I just like peace. And just keep real peaceful at all times. Right. So tell me a little bit more, elaborate more on your childhood. Like, what was it like as a younger you, being around some empowering women, and you know that you getting ready to, blossom and be an entrepreneur yourself?
See, it was two faces of me. In the public, I was always a shy child. But at home, I really wasn't a bad child. My mother and I were talking about this the other day. She said I became bad when she didn't take me to the circus in 2nd grade. And I said, I don't care. I said, I didn't like last year's circus. No way. She said, ever since 2nd grade, she said, you went downhill.
Oh, my God.
I didn't care, because it wasn't so hot the year before. So she told me, she was like, ever since 2nd grade, you went downhill. But I wasn't like a bad I wasn't a bad child. I mean, I had a very strict childhood, because one grandmother was very quiet. My paternal side, she was very quiet. But I loved my mother's mother. She was from the South. She was living in New York. So here you have a Southern belle. I looked up to her. I mean, I love my mother, but I loved my grandmother because she was such a sweetheart, but you couldn't mess with her. She'll just knock you out. But I mean, like, she had this rough attitude. She was like a Southern belle with a New York attitude. And she was just as sweet as pie. She was a prayer warrior, but she was so rough. It was like you either loved her or hated her. It was like one or the other. But the thing is, I learned from her, she actually just kept it real. But it was nice that a lot of people would get mad nowadays. Like I know my grandmother made it in because she never kept a grudge with anyone in the church, out of the church. You know, the Bible says if you have an ought against someone, she would always say, hey, you know, why we're not talking? Let's get this straight. And nowadays, when you mention things to people, they want to get all mad.
Yeah.
So she always just, was upfront with you. I think as she got older, she was a little bit too blunt, but she lived a holy lifestyle. How can I phrase my life? It was strict, but yet I had fun because she wouldn't even, let me tell you how strict my grandmother was. She was Baptist. I mean, she was raised Methodist, but she became Baptist. I think she was stricter than any Pentecostal. She would not let me even bring Uno cards in her house because she said cards are the devil. So she was that kind of strict. Yes. So nobody can say I was raised, I mean, I was in both Pentecostal, but she was strict. She's like, you can't bring no kind of cards in my house. This is a holy house.
So when you went, what time did you go through your phase when you started to rebel? Like how old were you then when you started
16.
to do that?
I was 16, actually 15. And I was just, how they would say, smelling myself. I was into boys. And around 16, 17, had a lot of boyfriends. Mother would kill me if I tell it. But I just want people to know, like, everybody's not perfect. Everybody have their phases in life.
Right.
So at that age, I was just trying to find me from, I would say, 15 to 20, I would say. At 17, 18, those teen years, I got involved with, this is like a whole nother podcast. The record label Def Jam. I used to party with them. I dated all of them.
Did you?
I used to party with Puffy and Little Kim and Redman. We used to do those kind of things. So that was my life. It was like, okay, I would go to church on Sunday. I was the PK, but I would rebel, And Biggie. So like people heard of Biggie, Redman, Lil Kim, and Diddy. I used to party with them.
Oh wow!
So that was my rebellion years. And then when I first got in college, I dated one of the biggest Jamaican drug lords there was, and the things that I saw, only God saves me. And then it was just bad boyfriend after bad boyfriend. And then I think what really got me together was my last, I would say, really terrible boyfriend. He was a mob boss. He was much older, bought me anything I wanted. So I thought I was just fly. I thought I was the bomb. I was, but what did it? I was in ministry. I was called to ministry at a young age. I preached my first sermon at 5, so I knew the way. And I was ordained a Baptist minister at 17, and I was ordained a Pentecostal clergy member at 20. So the thing is, I knew the way. It's just I was rebelling. So for me, my life flashed before me because the mob boss, he still wanted me to stay with him. And I'm like, no, I'm really into church. I got ordained. I got to really get my life over to the Lord. And he's like, oh, you've been going to church, but you're in this lifestyle. And I'm like, no, I got to get out of it. And I know it's nothing but God to this day that he set me up. He said he wanted to meet me. He meets me with all his top people, and they surrounded me with all types of weapons.
Wow.
And he said, you going to stay in this or not? I said, not. So I just closed my eyes, thinking that was my last breath. And I just called on Jesus. They all went to shoot. And I'm mind you now, just imagine being surrounded by all different types of guns. You're on your knees, and then they can't shoot. And then I peeked my eyes open. I said, did they just try to shoot me? And I just keep saying, Jesus. And every time I call Jesus, they could not shoot. Next thing you know, they two archangels. Angels are real. Jesus is real, folks. It scared the heck out of them. They ran. I never heard from that man. Not another day in my life. So there is power in the name of Jesus.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what kind of got me back on the right track.
Wow. You know, it takes a real moment for you to snap back. It really do. It really do. And I'm a witness to that too. Like just different things that transpire over my life over the years. And my husband himself, he turned his life around. His mother was an evangelist. She was a pastor. But he went rebellious with her, and he served 21 years in prison. And now he's just a full-blown man of God. And all these blessings is just coming his way because he's doing right by him, and he's doing what he was called to do. So I truly understand, you know, as far as you're rebellious and everything. So once you started changing your life, what direction did you go into once you got away from all of that?
I focused my life more on prayer. I think that gave me more determination just to live my life to the fullest, because my life could have been taken just like that. And another lesson that I learned, that I can't play with God. Because you would see me, I was a young evangelist. I was preaching from 5 years old, and I'm like faking the funk like so many people do. You can't play with God. Because my thing is like, whatever. And that got my attention. It is always something in our lives to really get our attention. And then the thing is, you can be living for the Lord and things still go bad. So I'm living my life to the fullest. I graduated, I'm a nurse, and then I was a nurse practitioner, and then I'm just getting all these degrees at the same time. I'm doing dual degrees and graduating with all these doctorates. And then it seems like so many bad things were happening, but the thing is, I still trusted God. I had cancer. Let me tell you, cancer came, cancer went away. Cancer came back again. I did not know it. And then I was feeling so sick. My hair was falling out, and I was doing really bad. And then when they told me, they said that cancer has spread all the way through your body, and you have 3 weeks to live. They called it like that. And I'm like, oh, well. And Satan talked to me and said, why don't you go back and party and all that? I said, I don't have enough energy, and my mind is not even going to go back to what happened. God has brought me too far. And I just trusted God. I trusted God. I didn't go out and party. And I said, you know what? My soul as well, if it is my time. But it was just a test of my faith. I trusted God. And I told a few trusted prayer warriors, because sometimes you cannot share everything with everybody. Sometimes they are praying for you. P-R-E-Y, not praying. So I just believe God, and I'm still here. That was years ago. And then I know I'm here for a purpose. I can't tell you how many car crashes I had. It's just unbelievable. I mean, like almost deadly. I mean, 3 years ago, my car exploded in Atlanta. My mother and I, yes, we went down to the GMWA, the Gospel Music Workshop of America, and we just was there one day, and a man T-boned me. I don't know what he was doing, texting, eating french fries or something, and he T-boned me. The car started smoking. So my passengers, they were able to hop out. My mother was able to get out. I was stuck in the car. People thought sure I was going to explode. Time they pulled me out, the car exploded.
Man.
So I know that's nobody but God. A few years back, I'm driving in the snow. My car flips over upside down. I'm like, and then God sends a trooper. I'm like, if I'm stupid, that's the plain way. I would be stupid if I did not serve God. And I've experienced at the same time, now listen to this now, the same time that I had cancer, when I was in nursing, I had this back issue. It was like everything was coming down on me at once, and it was just a testing of my faith. I was like, I almost felt like Job, because I'm like, this is like so much to bear. But I said, you know what? I trust you. With all of that, a lot of people would have just given up and said, what's the sense? And the time of the cancer, something happened with my back again. I had back surgery. Surgery went wrong. I was paralyzed. So nobody can say God is a healer. Not a healer. They said I would never walk again. I was paralyzed neck down. And they laughed at me, said, you're in health profession. You know you're not going to walk again. And they were literally laughing at me. And I'm like, I believe in Jesus. Jesus is my physician. And they were not. They were laughing. It was like, whatever. And then I started moving my hands and everything. And they're like, she is getting better. And they still laugh because I still was paralyzed, waist down. So they're like, okay, you should be happy for what you got. And I'm saying, no, I'm young. I got to walk. And I was determined. First of all, through prayer, through faith, and my determination, through therapy, I'm walking. I mean, it's miracles exist. Jesus is real. I've experienced. I mean, I might not have experience of being on drugs. Everyone has a different testimony. But I can tell you, let me tell you, I understand what it is to be, how they say, loose. I had men, you know what I mean? And I was slip, dipping, and tripping in sin. And God still spared my life. I know what it is for God to heal my body because I've suffered sickness. I mean, unto death sickness. And I also know what it is. You know, people say, I was literally down to my dime one time in my life. All of this happened all around at the same time. And I thank God for trusted prayer warriors. So look at this. At the same time, I'm paralyzed. I got cancer. And, you know, people are jealous. And my company, it was a Caucasian counterpart that just messed me up with the government, the IRS, and they locked my funds, and I could not take anything out of my bank account. So I'm like, they're investigating. It's like nothing. And my mother could help me because she's connected to me. So what I had at home, a dime. That's what I had at home, a dime, and that's all I had. And I trusted God. And you know who helped me? The Catholic Church. Isn't that something? Not the saints. I had a saint because I was living on Long Island at the time. I had bishops tell me, well, if you're not Kojic, we can't help you. I call another bishop, you're not this, you're not under my jurisdiction. Like, what kind of, we're serving God.
Right.
So why is it that people can talk about the Catholics or if they want to, but they helped me. I had them, they came and they was smoking. They was outside smoking, but they came and prayed for me. They came and gave me food. They gave me gift cards. They gave me money. So God will always provide. So it's like so many lessons that I can learn from this. Trust God. You learn people. I learned true people of God. I learned so much through my trials. And it's all a testing of your faith. And it's also how they see it. It's literally your test becomes your testimony. It's a cliche. However, it's true.
Yes. And it becomes to a point where the testimony you sharing, even though you were raised in a church and everything, it shows your imperfections. However, the things that you've been through, you still continue to, live through him.
Right.
Regardless.
I can teach, exactly. I can teach girls. And it's only by the grace of God, all the men that I had, and I'm just keeping it real, that I never got a disease. Only the grace of God, I didn't have an STD. Only the grace of God, I never had HIV. And I'm not proud to say that. I'm just keeping it real.
Yeah, especially what you had dealings with people in the industry. A lot of that comes with it,
Exactly.
Oh, that was a true blessing. A true blessing. So what I want you to do is say some different, like some words of encouragement for women that are battling to heal themselves and move forward in life and feel inspired and trying to find their way.
Okay. What I want each woman first to know that never give up. Never give up. Always remain focused. Be courageous. And you know what? Love yourself. You have to love yourself before you can love anyone else or before you can receive love. Love yourself. Focus on God. He will never fail you. Never, ever in life. No matter what the issue is, no matter what the situation is, you keep your head up. We are queens. We are princesses. We are queens. Not only Nubian, even though you have a diverse audience, we're a woman. The woman, you are what makes the world go round. How can someone be born without a woman? You are important. Know that. Never feel bad. Hold your head up. Say that you are important. Know this. Know that in your heart and in your mind. Beloved, be encouraged. Never doubt. Always trust the Lord. Just have faith. Have faith in yourself. I cannot say that enough. Have faith in yourself and have faith in God. And know that you can accomplish anything. You can be whatever you desire to be. You can have literally what you want to have. Nothing can stop you. You are unstoppable. You are a woman. A woman is powerful. Please, ladies, do not let anybody call you out your name. Hold your head up high. Never have a low self-esteem. And if that is the case, walk away. No one is too cute or to whatever to stick around for abuse. Do not stick around for physical abuse. Don't stick around for verbal abuse. You are a precious jewel. You are a diamond. You are beautiful. You are a woman. Remember that.
You see, you talking that talk. Y'all better listen. Let's take it all in. So tell us, how can anyone get in touch with you, just in case if they want to, get uplifted or anything? Do you provide any type of services?
I do, and each case is different. You can hit me up on social media. My website is www.rev, that's the abbreviation for Reverend, so it's REV, and then Dr. DR, and my initials ALB. That's A for Alpha, L for Lila, B for boy.org. So it's REVDRALB.org. I am on all social media. Just find me, Louise Bonaparte. Hit me up and I'll get back to you.
Yes. Well, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this interview. It was the bomb.
Oh, you're welcome. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to Life Her Podcast, where we help heal women all over the world. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook, Life Her Podcast, and check out our YouTube page as well. And make sure you subscribe. You can also look onto our website and you can purchase merchandise and listen to the podcast episodes. I am Yvette Lloyd. I am Life Her. Love yourself, ladies. Take care of yourself and others you love dearly.